Imagine a nation so vast that visiting a different island every single day would consume 47 years of your life. Picture ancient temples built directly on active volcanoes that shake the earth daily. Tribes who evolved biological superpowers to survive the ocean depths. And a coffee so expensive it requires an animal's digestive system to create. This isn't some fantasy archipelago from a novel. This is Indonesia, a country stretching across 17,000 islands, where reality defies logic at every turn. What you're about to discover will obliterate every assumption you hold about this nation, revealing contradictions so profound they'll make you question whether one country can contain this many impossible truths simultaneously. Number 15. A nation too large to comprehend. Indonesia sprawls across more than 17,000 islands, stretching nearly 3,200 miles, roughly the distance from New York to Los Angeles, except instead of crossing land, you're crossing ocean dotted with thousands of separate landmasses. If you attempted to visit a different island every single day, you'd need 47 years to see them all. Yet, here's what's truly staggering. Of those 17,000 islands, only about 6,000 are actually inhabited with any density. Nearly 70% remain small, empty, or used exclusively for tourism and conservation, meaning thousands of islands exist with no permanent human presence whatsoever. But the geographic impossibility is merely the beginning. Indonesia houses over 740 distinct ethnic groups speaking more than 700 local languages. That's more linguistic diversity than the entire European continent packed into one Southeast Asian archipelago. What's especially fascinating, despite being the world's most populous Muslim-majority nation, Indonesia remains far from rigid or closed. Instead, it pulses with vibrancy, welcomes outsiders with warmth, and overflows with life. Each island functions like a miniature nation with different customs, different languages, and entirely different rhythms of daily existence. The question that haunts geographers and political scientists alike is how can a country this impossibly complex continue to function as a single unified nation? Number 14. Building temples on volcanoes that want them dead. Indonesia sits directly on the Pacific Ring of Fire, home to more than 130 active volcanoes and thousands of earthquakes annually. Yet what truly astounds observers is that ancient Indonesians built monumental structures in some Earth's most dangerous locations and somehow learned to coexist with forces that would destroy entire civilizations. The most famous example, Borobudur, the world's largest Buddhist temple, assembled from over 2 million stone blocks, standing for a millennium in land that never stops shaking. Not far away, Prambanan's towering spires have survived hundreds of powerful earthquakes, its intricate carvings somehow remaining intact despite the Earth's constant violence beneath. In Bali, temples like Tanah Lot were constructed on rocky outcrops in the middle of the ocean, where massive waves constantly batter the stone foundations, like building a cathedral on a cliff jutting from the Pacific and expecting it to last centuries. In Java's volcanic slopes, villages sit mere miles from active volcanic craters, where residents grow rice while watching volcanic smoke rise each morning like clockwork. In Toraja, traditional stilt houses feature curved boat-shaped roofs designed to withstand tremors and torrential rains, an ancient form of disaster-resistant engineering that predates modern seismic science by centuries. All of this reflects an Indonesia filled with audacious determination, boldly challenging fate, and enduring alongside an Earth that refuses to stay still. Building temples on the Ring of Fire might be humanity's most daring architectural challenge to nature itself. Number 13. The tribe that rejected the 21st century. About 6 hours from Jakarta, traveling along narrow roads through dense forests in Java's far western reaches, you enter a world that has deliberately rejected modernity. The Baduy tribe lives by rules hundreds of years old, and their community divides into Outer Baduy and Inner Baduy, with the inner area completely sealed to outsiders to preserve their ancient way of life. Today, approximately 1,500 people live in Inner Baduy territory, while more than 12,000 inhabit outer areas spread across nearly 30 villages deep in the forest. After abandoning your vehicle outside the village boundary, you follow narrow stone paths into a world untouched by time. They walk barefoot through forests, rivers, and streams exactly as their ancestors did generations ago. They survive by gathering food and raising bees for honey. Their lifestyle remains frozen in centuries past. They refuse soap, shampoo, or chemicals to protect water sources, and remarkably, the entire community produces virtually no waste. Badawi women are hard-working and often keep their faces hidden from strangers. Visitors are usually asked to limit photography or seek explicit permission beforehand, and strictly warned not to tease or disturb them as a sign of respect. They weave fabric by hand using simple wooden looms, and their handmade textiles are highly sought after. The Badawi people are gentle and welcoming, though they always carry knives for work in the forest. To this day, the rules and inner life of Badawi women and their isolated community remain mysterious to the outside world, a deliberate choice that makes them one of Earth's last truly voluntary holdouts against globalization.
Every year, tens of thousands of foreigners choose Bali not for vacation, but as a permanent place to settle. Not merely because of turquoise seas and white sand beaches, but because of a rare balance between relaxed lifestyle and global connectivity that exists almost nowhere else on Earth. Living in Bali feels like residing on a year-round resort island, yet with costs far more affordable than California or most of Europe. Life moves slowly, warmly, and feels deeply human. Mornings begin with soft incense scent drifting from small offerings before homes, shops, and even on sidewalks. Locals wear sarongs and ride motorbikes through narrow streets, unhurried with no blaring horns. In Ubud, it's common to see foreigners sipping coffee above emerald rice terraces, while farmers plant rice just below, two worlds coexisting in perfect harmony. Canggu feels more modern. Digital nomads work from cafes, surf in afternoons, and gather at beach bars at night. Seminyak and Sanur suit those preferring steadier rhythms with established expat communities, hospitals, and restaurants. In night, Bali transforms into one of the world's most iconic beach club capitals, venues perched on cliffs nearly 300 feet high, serving wine and cocktails overlooking endless ocean. Yet street food stalls, night markets, rooftop bars, and live music remain everywhere, accessible to everyone. For many, Indonesia isn't just a destination, it's where people choose to stay and live an entirely different kind of life. Number 11. The controversial practice nobody discusses. In some impoverished rural areas of Indonesia, there exists a controversial and little-known custom often informally called short-term marriage. On the surface, it resembles traditional marriage, agreements between families, simplified ceremonies, and a dowry. The key difference is duration. The marriage lasts only 5 to 7 days, matching a visitor's stay. During that time, the couple lives as husband and wife. Once the visitor leaves, the marriage automatically ends with no long-term legal obligations. The contrast is striking. In Western societies, marriage typically implies years of commitment, but here it is sometimes functioned as a temporary survival arrangement. This isn't meant to promote the practice, but to illuminate the complex realities of local life, where tradition, poverty, and tourism have intersected in deeply controversial ways. Today, Indonesian authorities regulate such practices more strictly to protect local communities, but it reveals a lesser-known side of Indonesian society that challenges comfortable assumptions about culture, economics, and desperation. Number 10. Jakarta after dark. When the sun sets behind skyscrapers, Jakarta begins a different shift. Its nightlife is intense, crowded, and electric, the energy of a megacity containing over 10 million people. Interestingly, while daytime traffic is often described as suffocating, nighttime Jakarta opens expectation-free space. Areas like SCBD, Sudirman, and Kemang become nightlife hubs with rooftop bars overlooking seas of city lights, similar to gazing over Manhattan at night, but at far more affordable prices. A quality cocktail costs less than half what you'd pay in New York. At street level, late-night food scenes never sleep. Grills, smoke, simple plastic tables fill every sidewalk, and crowds keep coming. Here you can enjoy some of Earth's best sauté for just a few dollars, an atmosphere rarely found in any American food court.
Music is Jakarta's nighttime soul, from quiet jazz lounges to modern clubs hosting international DJs. Younger crowds gather after work, while older visitors prefer relaxed venues with live music and conversation. Jakarta after dark is a symphony of contrasts, street flavors and refined entertainment coexisting side by side, proving this city is truly the restless heart of the archipelago. Laws that catch foreigners off guard. Indonesia is famous for islands and rich culture, but also for unusual regulations that can easily catch visitors unprepared. Under Indonesian law, everyone must carry identification at all times. For tourists, a passport becomes a constant companion. Since 2023, Indonesia has enforced a particularly strict rule. Damaged passports, torn, faded, or worn, can lead to denied entry, especially in Bali. Passports also must remain valid at least 6 months, something many travelers forget. More surprisingly, in some regions, calling someone a dog can be considered a criminal offense, not casual profanity as it might be in the West. And if you think climbing on stone statues for photos is harmless, in Indonesia it can be taboo, sometimes resulting in fines or deportation. These rules may seem strange, but they reflect deep respect for order and cultural values that visitors need to understand for smooth travel. Indonesia operates by different social contracts than Western nations, and ignorance provides no protection. Creatures and phenomena that shouldn't exist. This is the only place on Earth where you can encounter the Komodo dragon, the largest lizard on the planet, nearly 10 feet long, weighing over 300 pounds, and capable of killing prey with a single venomous bite. Indonesia is also home to Rafflesia, the world's largest flower, weighing up to 15 pounds and blooming with a smell strong enough to make you cover your nose from yards away. On Nusa Penida, Kelingking Beach features a cliff shaped exactly like a giant T-Rex spine jutting into turquoise water. On the Kampar River, ocean waves travel upstream for dozens of miles, creating the Bono phenomenon, one of the world's longest river waves. And at Kelimutu, 3 crater lakes sit side by side, each a different color, changing hues like a massive outdoor chemistry experiment with no clear scientific explanation. Indonesia isn't just diverse, it's an open book of nature's and humanity's deepest mysteries, a place where biology and geology seem to operate by different rules than the rest of the planet. Coffee that passes through an animal first. Indonesia is the birthplace of one of the world's most famous and expensive coffees, Kopi Luwak. Remarkably, this coffee isn't made by modern machines. It begins in the digestive system of wild civet cats. The animals select only the ripest coffee cherries, and natural fermentation in their digestive tract creates a smooth, low bitterness flavor with deep finish. On the global market, Kopi Luwak can sell for $300 to $600 a pound, far more expensive than specialty coffee in New York or Paris. Coffee culture in Indonesia is unhurried. Locals may sit for hours at small roadside cafes, slowly sipping strong black coffee and chatting. You'll often see people enjoying kopi tupruk, thick, unfiltered coffee brewed directly in the cup with sugar, or kopi jahe, coffee mixed with warm ginger. One of the most memorable experiences for visitors is touring coffee farms in Bali or Java, watching beans roasted by hand, smelling coffee drifting through tropical forest, and savoring each small sip. It's coffee as ritual rather than caffeine delivery system.
Number 6. Tribes that evolved superhuman abilities. There are few places on Earth where humans have adapted to nature in ways as extraordinary as Indonesia. The most famous example, the Bajau people, legendary sea nomads often called the mermaids of the ocean. They are true maritime wanderers, spending most of their lives on houseboats. What's almost unbelievable is that after centuries of freediving for food, the Bajau have evolved spleens more than 50% larger than average, allowing them to dive as deep as 70 meters and hold their breath for up to 13 minutes, a natural record that even elite freediving athletes admire. Bajau children learn to dive before they learn to walk, and some even follow the tradition of puncturing their eardrums to reduce pressure while diving deep, a practice that would horrify Western parents, but here represents survival adaptation. On Bhutan Island, there exists a small indigenous community known for having bright blue eyes despite dark skin and black hair, an extremely rare combination in Asia caused by Wanderberg syndrome, creating an appearance that makes European visitors feel as if they're seeing Scandinavians in the tropics. In Papua, many tribes still live almost completely isolated, hunting and surviving in ways unchanged for thousands of years. This is what makes Indonesia one of Earth's most fascinating countries. Humans here didn't just adapt to the environment, they biologically evolved to master it. Number 5. The village that puts modern cities to shame. Hidden in Bali's cool highlands, Penglipuran village is often called the cleanest village in the world, so spotless that many modern cities in the US or Europe would feel embarrassed by comparison. Remarkably, the entire village is less than half a mile long, yet there is no visible rash, no bad smells, and almost no noise. Streets are cleaned daily, so clean that American visitors joke you could walk barefoot without getting dirtier than your kitchen floor back home. Penglipuran is known for preserving traditional Balinese architecture for centuries. House gates are identical, and homes line up perfectly like a meticulously planned neighborhood. What's truly impressive, there are no large public trash bins. Residents sort waste at home, reuse materials, and process nearly all organic waste themselves. It's a living rebuke to modern waste culture, proof that humans can live without generating mountains of garbage if they simply choose to organize differently. Number 4. Living in paradise for pennies. Living in Indonesia, depending on lifestyle and location, monthly expenses for one person typically range from $500 to $1,800, about 62% cheaper than the United States and roughly 55 to 60% lower than most of Western Europe. Housing is the biggest advantage. A modern one-bedroom apartment in places like Bali, Yogyakarta, or secondary districts of Jakarta usually rents from $400 to $800 monthly. Utilities average $50 to $80, and reliable high-speed internet costs about $25 to $40 a month, more than enough for streaming and video calls back home. Food is where Indonesia truly shines. Local meals cost about $3 to $6, and even mixing local and Western dining keeps monthly food expenses around $200 to $300. Transportation is inexpensive, with ride-hailing apps, fuel, and daily travel averaging $40 to $70 a month, far lower than in the US. Overall, living in Indonesia offers comfort, convenience, and financial breathing room that many Americans find refreshing. Visa procedures are relatively straightforward, with retirement visas especially popular among Americans over 55, allowing year-long stays with proof of income, health insurance, and housing. Number 3. Destinations that redefine beauty. Nowhere in Southeast Asia offers as many world-class destinations so vast and different that every trip feels like entering a new country, except Indonesia. Raja Ampat in Papua is often called the most beautiful marine paradise on Earth, home to over 75% of the planet's coral species. From above, hundreds of limestone islands rise from turquoise water like a dreamscape that shouldn't exist. To the west, Lake Toba on Sumatra is the world's largest volcanic lake, stretching nearly 62 miles, wider than Singapore, with a full-sized island sitting in the center, something even seasoned European travelers find astonishing. Off the coast of Borneo, the Duron Islands surprise visitors with a non-stinging jellyfish lake where you can swim among thousands of translucent creatures, like a scene from science fiction. Don't miss the Ubud monkey forest, home to more than 700 long-tailed macaques roaming freely among jungle and ancient temples, where monkeys are believed to be sacred guardians. On the slopes of Mount Agung stands Besaki Temple, Bali's most sacred temple complex, made up of 23 terraced temples. When Mount Agung erupted in 1963, lava flows mysteriously spared the temple, strengthening local faith ever since. Indonesia isn't just beautiful, it keeps calling you back, revealing new layers with each visit. Number 2. Festivals that stop time.
Indonesia is one of Earth's most festival-rich countries, where every island celebrates life in its own way. In contrast to lively celebrations, Bali observes Nyepi, the world's only day of silence. For 24 hours, airports shut down, streets empty, and lights turn dark. Just before that, Ogo Ogo turns the streets into a massive stage with towering demon statues, some as tall as a 2-story house, paraded to thunderous drums. Meanwhile, Galungan and Kuningan transform Bali into a sea of offerings and flags, with curved bamboo poles called penjor, stretching 20 to 25 feet long. On Java, the Jember Fashion Carnival is Indonesia's largest street fashion festival. Thousands parade in massive costumes, creating an atmosphere similar to Mardi Gras in New Orleans, but with strong Asian identity. In Toraja, festivals unfold slowly and solemnly, honoring community and ancient tradition. Each festival feels like a living documentary where history, religion, and community merge into something that cannot be replicated anywhere else on Earth. Number 1. A culinary universe without end. Indonesia's cuisine is so diverse that you could eat 3 different meals every day for more than 15 years without repeating a single dish. That makes perfect sense for a country with 17,000 islands, hundreds of ethnic groups, and more than 700 local cultures. Indonesia is truly a nation of spices, with over 275 varieties from nutmeg to cloves to turmeric and chili, once powerful enough to drive European empires across entire oceans in search of them. Indonesian cuisine includes some of the world's most famous dishes. Rendang, a slow-cooked beef dish, frequently tops CNN's lists of the world's best foods. Nasi goreng, the national fried rice, uses sweet ketchup manis, making it completely different from American or European fried rice. On the streets, satay sizzles over charcoal, served with rich peanut butter, just as satisfying as a backyard barbecue in the US. Indonesia is also famous for sambal, hundreds of varieties of chili paste, with almost every dish offering one to ignite your taste buds. In local warums, eating with your right hand is common, believed to enhance flavor and connection with the food, a practice that initially makes Westerners uncomfortable, but eventually converts them to believers. We've just explored 15 realities about Indonesia that most people never discover. A nation so vast it defies comprehension, where ancient temples sit on active volcanoes, where tribes evolved biological superpowers, where you can live like royalty for less than rent in most American cities, and where the food alone could occupy a lifetime of exploration. Indonesia isn't the tropical paradise of tourist brochures. It's something far more complex, contradictory, and endlessly fascinating. It's a place where 17,000 islands somehow function as one nation, where 740 ethnic groups coexist, where modernity and ancient tradition collide daily, and where reality consistently defies what should be possible. The real Indonesia exists in these contradictions, in the tension between unity and diversity, between progress and preservation, between what the world thinks it knows and what actually exists beneath the surface. It's a country that forces you to expand your definition of what's possible, to reconsider your assumptions about culture, nature, and how humans choose to live. And if you're wondering whether Indonesia is worth experiencing yourself, the answer is written in these 15 revelations. This isn't a country you visit once and understand. It's a universe that reveals itself slowly, island by island, meal by meal, sunset by sunset, until you realize that 47 years might not actually be enough time after all.